Let's go.
Down front
5-hour
left.
game.
Kevin, what were your emotions during this game that's up and down? How much did it age you? Take me through what you were going through.
You really don't want to know. I'm glad I wasn't mic'd up. I'll just put it that way. It's you go from I think everything started with Travion's long run. You could not script everything that happened after he got to the 2-yard line in this game. So again, I said it last week. I think what this team is about not panicking, about communicating. We had some breakdowns, offensively and defensively. I thought our guys still stayed in there and played. And, there have been instances where things like that start sliding and you can't get it back. Tennessee's a quality football team with a lot of talent and a lot of speed, and you can see that. So, I think that the big takeaway from this is that, we were able to withstand some things, not play great, but make enough plays to win the game without some of our better players being 100%. And, quite frankly, the bye week comes at a great time.
We'll go to the middle. Let's go with ladies first, Christy, and then right next to her.
You finally got to 6-0 after the 5-0 a few years
Finally?
in a row. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I know where you're headed with it.
Well, your guys had talked about finally getting over that hump. What does it mean for this team to be 6-0?
I said before the game, whether we lost, the season wasn't over, and whether we win, you guys will be talking about the next game. So, here comes the slide again. But we get that. That's not where we are. This team really doesn't care. We're looking at every week. We pay attention to what we're doing, not really the narrative that's out there about who we are, and that's obvious because we wouldn't be where we are right now if we were listening to what everybody else is saying. So this team, as it gets back to what I talked about earlier, this team goes about its business. Not really interested in drama, not really interested in talking a bunch, but interested in winning games and because of that, they've got great demeanor in all kinds of situations, particularly a situation like tonight.
Right here, middle aisle, and then Brent.
Coach, there'll be a lot said about how big a win this was for this football team. Do we just make more out of that, or can a win like this really push a football team ahead?
Well, when you win, every game's big. So, when our first game was like that. When we played UCLA, people forgotten about that. So in order to accomplish what we want to accomplish, these type of games become important. For me personally, what I said early in the week was probably more important. That for our fans, and by the way, our fans were just awesome today. It was loud. They were into it. They created some havoc. The 12th man was for real today, and a great atmosphere. But more than that, I thought that 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when we made the move to the SEC, when we decided that we were going to invest and redo the stadium and create this atmosphere, I think today was what our administration and what people envisioned. With game day here, what was the attendance today? I didn't hear it.
It was 105, second all-time.
Yeah, which is pretty good for a place that holds 102.
That's right.
Fire marshal wasn't there today, which is good. There's a lot of sideline passes. A bunch of people I didn't even know. Couldn't even see down there. But I think that's more important. Does that make sense? So, with game day being here and, being the 2 top 10 teams, I think what it talks about is being relevant and playing on big stages. And that's what our fans want. That's what our team wants. And the idea is to stay in that situation or scenario, and that's what these guys want to do.
We'll go Brent, Ben, Daryl Bruffett in the back, and Gabe.
You had Miles back in the lineup, but I wanted to ask you in terms of, not just what he meant to the lineup, but he ended his presser with us asking for people to pray for Hurricane Matthew and,
Yes.
and to give what they can. Just the kind of guy
That's
Miles Garrett.
unbelievable. I looked up, and he was just going to play on third down, And I think if you paid attention in overtime, I don't think he came out. I said, "Are you all right?" He just went out there. He's like, "Coach, I'm playing." So what started off is just get some snaps tonight, maybe rush the passer on third down. He ended up playing. I got to go back and look at it, but I think he played the whole overtime. Both double overtimes, every snap. So that tells you a lot about him. And he was really hurt. And the Arkansas game, when he got hurt, he went back in the game and finished that game. So here's a guy that's got obviously a bright future, has got a lot at stake, but is a great teammate and is an example to everybody else about what this team's about. And then, like you said, to end with talking about the Hurricane, that tells you where he is as a person, and not just a great football player, but a great person.
Okay, Ben, and then Daryl.
Coach, given if y'all don't pull it out, it ends up being 5-0 or 5-1 again, and all these things. But now y'all are 6-0, and are in the race for the SEC West. Could this end up being, when you look back at everything, could this be a program-changing win for y'all?
No,
Why?
because we got 6 more games this year. So we wouldn't be in this position if we hadn't won the 5 games beforehand. So I don't know about program changing. I think that where we are right now is where we are. And we got a huge test in 2 weeks, and to go to Tuscaloosa and play another meaningful game. So when you win games, I come up here every week, and when you win, the next game is a big game, and they're only big games because they're relevant games because you're winning. So, I don't know that there's a program changer. That tonight was a program changer. I think it was a great ball game between 2 top 10 opponents that are going to have to play some great football the rest of the way. And we got 6 more really, really, as hard as that was our message. As hard as it was this last 6 weeks with 4 SEC opponents, 3 of them away, we'll take a break, and we got 6 more tough games. And that's where this team is. And as far as program changing, I don't know about that. I think what you have to do is try to put together each week and treat everything with each week. And, you'll be asking me the same question if we win 2 weeks from now.
Go to the back, Daryl, then we'll go Olin, and then Gabe.
And I was just being honest with you. I was trying to be, that was pretty diplomatic the way I said that, didn't I? I'm in a decent mood tonight, so. I'm a little drained, a little bit, but mentally, but I'm hanging in there. 5-hour game, come on.
Daryl.
Coach, can you address how your team is going to get over the fact that they haven't really developed a killer instinct on offense to get the ball and eat up the clock and just put the game away that way? I mean, how do you go about getting to that point?
You mean the fact that we ran 70 yards and got the ball punched out at the 2-yard line, and that would have ended the game?
I got that. But
I got you.
There were other
times. There were other times where we need to finish, and we're a work in progress here, and that's where we are. Trust me, I would have rather not gone into double overtime either. So we understand that. We know where we are as a team. We have been able to do that. It was the same basic scenario as Auburn, except they make a hell of a play coming from behind to punch the ball out. Right there, that game's that 2 yards. Like I said, what did he rush for? 217.
Yes,
I told
sir.
him I wish he rushed for 219. Because if he had rushed for 219, the game was over there. So, but he's a young player. He learned from it. We got a lot of young guys in there in that offensive line. We've got a freshman center, a freshman guard, red shirt, guys in there, and they're battling like crazy. And we're going to continue to try to get better. That's one of the things that we're working on. We're better than we were. Are we just dominant? No, but we've been good enough to be able to do some things. And it's I'll listen to those questions all the time. But when you rush for 353 yards, there's another side to it.
We'll go Olin, and Gabe, you'll wrap us up.
Kevin,
Yes.
Were you ever tempted in that first overtime to go for it on fourth down after Daniel had missed that chance to win in regulation? And then I want to know, I know you at Houston and here previously, you've been involved in some crazy games, and if this was even more stressful.
Yeah. No, we've been involved. We were just laughing about it. I was laughing last night watching SMU in Tulsa. And, the overtime game, and there was like 8 minutes to go in the game. I said, there's going to be at least 2 more scores in this game to go to overtime. And, I kept looking at the clock tonight going, oh, boy, this is going to be the same deal. We've been involved in these games a bunch. And I think our coaching staff is really calm, has a good plan for overtime. We've been successful more often than not in overtime. Every situation's different. I didn't really think about, if we get there, we're just going to go for it on fourth down. Daniel, as I said before, Daniel's the same whether he makes it or misses it. It's the same expression. I don't know if he's, I don't know. So I got a lot of confidence in Daniel LaCamera. He's a really, really good kicker. He's a freshman. He's young. I mean, he's really young, but he's very talented, and he's going to have plenty of opportunities. And if we had to do the same thing again, obviously, I would. You get to 10 seconds, you really don't have a chance to do a whole bunch. We centered it for him. He's missed it. And, I basically the message was you're going to have another opportunity, and he did in overtime to tie the game and give us a chance to win. So he's our guy. No, I didn't really think about going for it on fourth down because the pass, the catch that Christian made was just a great catch down at the 1 yard line, and we had good plays down there that we could run.
Okay, Gabe, wrap us up.
Coach Armani Watts, I think, has forced 4 turnovers and had a turnover on downs.
He's still mad that he wasn't preseason All-SEC. Can you tell?
He'd probably be postseason All-American at this point. But what's he continuing to prove here?
Well, I remind all 3 of those guys, Donovan and Justin Evans and Armani, sometime before the game that the coaches didn't pick any of them as preseason All-SEC, and there were 3 teams. So I tell them that means there are 12 guys better than you guys in this league. And as a coach, all I can do is nominate you. I can't vote for you, but this guy probably didn't vote for you. So you need to show him that you're worthy of that. And those guys are playing great, and they're trying to make statements, and those statements have been made, and ironically in SEC games. So it's they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. They played a lot of football since they've been here, but they've been extremely productive. Not just tonight, but all year, and I don't think that's going to continue. Those guys need a rest this week, and they've earned it. And then we'll get back to work. And like I said, we got another stretch ahead of us, but the bye week comes at a really, really good time for this team.
All right, Coach.